might seem odd to use a phrase like, the past is present in the now. Another phrase we sometimes use is, the ever-present past can always show up in the now. And sometimes it feels like it's erupting in the now, in the form of a trigger or an anxiety or a compulsion, a reflexive behavior, a reaction to an emotional situation. And that is the case where our past, which includes our past impressions, past emotions, past experiences, and all of this past conditioning that gives us our sense of personhood. It also gives us our sense of what we can anticipate in our relational field, in the world around us. How are we going to be accepted? What do we have to protect or defend against? And that entire soup is called your relational anticipations. And they are made from past experiences, as far back as your body can remember, which means as far back as you go. That memory is not always conscious to us because some of that memory is in what we call the implicit memory field, which means that your body knows it and some part of your psyche knows it, but you may not have words to attach to it. And yet, we have a felt sense of that memory in us. And sometimes it comes through as a felt sense of anxiety or apprehension, or a compulsion to do something, or a felt sense that we're responsible for other people's peace or equanimity or well-being, and that how we organize ourselves is going to determine that for them. Even though that may not be true, the felt sense of it may be installed in us already. And so the ever-present past comes with us in the form of sensations in the body, and then we come to our yoga mat. And here we're working with the physical body in the present moment to release tension, like soaking and squeezing a sponge. And in the release of that tension, we're going to discover something that's even more true about our deepest self. And that discovery helps us to then navigate this ever-present past, this past conditioning, past impressions, anticipations. Because when we sit in this place of clarity or strength or love or sovereignty, and we see that stuff that's in us, we do so from a place of love. We say in Hunger, Hope, and Healing, moving from love, not shame. So to see that material, that emotional material that's seeking resolution, to see it from a place of love is to see it where we can offer it resolution, compassion, support, even solutions. We can update our understanding of ourselves along the way. So let's dive into the practice with this in our awareness this morning and see how it feels to rediscover that indwelling essence that you already are, and then to gaze at whatever internal work is yours to do today, to do that from a place of love towards whatever is going to be present. Good morning once again. Welcome for yoga practice. We'll just start with a comfortable seat. You can rest your hands in your lap, and you are welcome to close your eyes and come into a place of greater connection with yourself, right here in the present. To support the process of becoming more present, it's helpful to let go of what's not right now relevant and to focus on or remember what is relevant. In the most simple sense, we can say, we set aside the past, we set aside the future, we take our seat in the present. At the same time, we know that our bodies bring with us our past impressions, past memories. The tension in the body is often coming from the past, even the past of how we slept last night. And we know that within our bodies, the footsteps of the future are already in us. And we can chart a new course for those footsteps based on how we behave today, what we do in terms of even our self-care today. And yet, even with that, we set aside thinking about the past, and we set aside planning the future to be right here, right now, in the present. Allow your breathing to bring you into the present moment. A long, smooth inhale up the length of the spine, and a steady, consistent exhale. You might picture the inhale as kind of a gesture, a welcoming of you into the present moment. And the exhale is a time to relax your mind and your body to actually be here in the present moment. You might even say to yourself, breathing in, I am arriving. And then breathing out, I am coming home. And let's do that for 2 more breath cycles. And then please raise your hands to your heart and acknowledge your efforts to be here and the moment-to-moment effort to be here in the present moment. And you may bow your head to your heart. Release your hands and open your eyes. So it might seem odd to use a phrase like, the past is present in the now. Another phrase we sometimes use is, the ever-present past can always show up in the now. And sometimes it feels like it's erupting in the now in the form of a trigger or an anxiety or a compulsion, a reflexive behavior, a reaction to an emotional situation. And that is the case where our past, which includes our past impressions, past emotions, past experiences, and all of this past conditioning that gives us our sense of personhood. It also gives us our sense of what we can anticipate in our relational field, in the world around us. How are we going to be accepted? What do we have to protect or defend against? And that entire soup is called your relational anticipations. And they are made from past experiences, as far back as your body can remember, which means as far back as you go. That memory is not always conscious to us because some of that memory is in what we call the implicit memory field, which means that your body knows it and some part of your psyche knows it, but you may not have words to attach to it. And yet, we have a felt sense of that memory in us. And sometimes it comes through as a felt sense of anxiety or apprehension, or a compulsion to do something, or a felt sense that we're responsible for other people's peace or equanimity or well-being, and that how we organize ourselves is going to determine that for them. Even though that may not be true, the felt sense of it may be installed in us already. And so the ever-present past comes with us in the form of sensations in the body, and then we come to our yoga mat. And here we're working with the physical body in the present moment to release tension, like soaking and squeezing a sponge. And in the release of that tension, we're going to discover something that's even more true about our deepest self. And that discovery helps us to then navigate this ever-present past, this past conditioning, past impressions, anticipations. Because when we sit in this place of clarity or strength or love or sovereignty, and we see that stuff that's in us, we do so from a place of love. We say in Hunger, Hope, and Healing, moving from love, not shame. So to see that material, that emotional material that's seeking resolution, to see it from a place of love is to see it where we can offer it resolution, compassion, support, even solutions. We can update our understanding of ourselves along the way. So let's dive into the practice with this in our awareness this morning and see how it feels to rediscover that indwelling essence that you already are, and then to gaze at whatever internal work is yours to do today, to do that from a place of love towards whatever is going to be present. Okay, so let's shift to table pose. And in table pose, if you'll place your hands so they're going to be shoulder width apart, and put the index fingers and the thumbs like you're making a picture frame. That means that it's going to be straight on for what the elbows experience, and the other fingers spread out from there. So place your hands beneath your shoulders. And as you next inhale, press firmly down through both arms and come into cat pose. And as you round your spine in cat pose, move a little bit side to side and let your body weight roll to the right and to the left, a little bit forward, a little bit back, and make it an exploration, a kind of undulation into your body in cat pose. And then as you next find yourself in the center of your cat pose, keep the tailbone anchored, press firmly down through both arms, and let's take a deep breath in. And then exhale, lift your sitting bones and bring your spine through into cow pose. Cow pose is where the chest and heart come forward. You open the throat, bring your chin forward, lift your sitting bones. And again, let's go a little bit side to side, get to know what your body is bringing with you, what your body's bringing with it, we might say. You could even think of it like when your cat wakes up in the morning and they have just some random stretches that they do. Bring yourself into the center of your cow pose. And with this inhale, glide your heart forward. And then exhale, press into both arms firmly and transition to table pose. Step your right hand well forward of your left hand on the floor. Reach back with your hips, touch your left elbow down. Release the weight of your head and turn your head to your left. So with the right arm stretched out in front, take a long, smooth breath cycle on the right hemisphere of your torso. And then exhale, press into your left hand, return to table pose. Inhale, step the left hand well forward of your right. And exhale, glide your hips back, touch your right elbow down, turn your head to your right. Breathe into the left hemisphere of your torso. And then exhale, press into your right hand and return to table pose. Okay, let's repeat that. Inhale, right hand forward. Exhale, reach back, touch your left elbow down, turn your head to your left. And breathe into the right hemisphere of your torso. Exhale, table pose. Inhale, left hand forward. And exhale, glide back. Keep your left hand firmly grounded so you're really stretching from your fingertips to your sitting bones. Breathe into the left hemisphere of the torso. And exhale, return to table pose. And then please sit back to kneeling, and just coming from a simple practice, a simple warm-up practice, notice what you're shedding, what you're letting go of, and what's coming in, what feels fresh or alive for you. Unfortunately, a lot of that past conditioning happened at a stage in our lives when we were very vulnerable to the perceptions of and the emotions of others. And so we might have some misperceptions about who we are. And that stuff becomes outdated. And we're going to be updating that in the physical body. So let's take 2 blocks, please, and come up to standing. Take a wide stance on your yoga mat. So your feet are going to be about the length between your feet should be like one of your leg lengths. So if your legs are only 1 foot long, then your feet are 1 foot apart. If your legs, like mine, might be about 2.5 feet long, then you've got your feet are 2.5 to 3 feet wide. And go ahead and come down into Prasarita Padottanasana. Place your hands on your blocks and stretch both hands and both blocks forward. Relax the weight of your head. As you release your head, let it shake a little bit. You can go kind of loosey-goosey with your neck. And then let's keep both legs and both arms stable and strong. And as you inhale, turn your head to look to your right as far as you comfortably can. You might notice a stretch on the neck, perhaps on the left side. And then bring your head to center and go to your left as far as you comfortably can. And then let's change sides one more time in each direction. So going to the right, breathe in. And exhale to center, and then go to your left, breathing in. And exhale, bring your head to center. Enjoy another full breath cycle. Expand through the back hemisphere of the body. And then exhale completely as you tone your lower belly, stabilize your legs, walk your hands to your hips, and inhale, rise up to standing. I'm just getting over having COVID, so excuse me for the times that I might cough or clear my throat during class. It's good. All the ways in which our body expels that which we don't need. It's not just emotional, it's also physical. So in this position, now turn your heels in and your toes out and come down. We call this the jazz dance warm-up pose. Come down with your hands on your knees. Press the knees out wide. Drop your hips back and take the tailbone down. So we're not overarching the lower back in this position. You should feel like the lower back is broad. All right, gaze down. Take a deep breath into your lower abdomen. And then exhale, twist your spine to your right. Go ahead and turn the left hand in on your left knee so you can rotate using your arms, shoulders. Stretch the thoracic spine, look over your right shoulder. And you might ask yourself in each breath cycle, what am I bringing in? You say, breathing in, I am arriving. What do you want to bring in? And on the exhale, breathing out, I'm coming home to myself. Let us sense this homecoming. You're coming home to what in yourself? That in you which is grounded or strong or wise or capable. Let's inhale to center, turn both hands to point back out, turn the right hand in and twist to your left as you exhale. You might be bringing in something like courage or commitment or optimism. So breathing in, I am arriving. What are you bringing with you? And breathing out, I am coming home. Coming back home to that in you which is strong or stable, already wise and already worthy. Rotate to center, turn your right hand out. And then inhale, rise up to standing. And let's make the feet parallel and go heel, toe, until you're in mountain pose. And check and see what is the overall felt sense of now arriving here in the present. And I'd like you to reach for a yoga strap. So we can use a strap. You can also use a bathrobe sash. You could use an old necktie. You could use a belt. You could use the dog leash if that's what you have. So we'll take the strap part. Mine has a loop because I've already made a loop earlier. We're going to put the loop aside and just use the strap. So if you'll take your hands on the strap and wrap one hand around like that, then the strap becomes secure. Wrap the other hand around the strap is secure. And hopefully where you did that from, your hands are shoulder width apart now, like you're sleepwalking, like a zombie. Okay, and with that, inhale, raise both arms up overhead. And in this lift, when the arms go overhead like this, don't overarch the lower back. So we're going to keep the tailbone down, lift through the inner body. Imagine that you're kind of pulling your t-shirt out of your waistband. Press out against the strap with both hands to stabilize your shoulders. And as you next breathe in, also lift your heart and look up, please. And then exhale and pull the elbows down behind you and place the strap so it's right behind your head. You've got a little support for your head. Pull the elbows wide, and as you lift your chest and heart, lean very slightly back. So this is a back bend for the upper part of your spine, your heart, upper thoracic spine, and even the neck. But of course, hold your head with wisdom, with intelligence. And as you next inhale, bring your head up to neutral, sweep the arms up straight overhead, stand in your full strength. And then exhale, float your arms forward and down, catch the strap in one hand and let both arms dangle so you can sense what you're releasing. What are you releasing? And then take the strap again in both hands. This time, don't cinch it around your wrist. Let it be so it can slide between your hands. And take both arms up and then slide the strap between your hands to come down to a shoulder stretch. But one of the things about overcoming past conditioning is that it seems so believable. It just seems so real and palpable and true. And we've given so much time to overcoming it that we've also reinforced it as true because our efforts to overcome it, our efforts to overcome something, by that very nature, we keep making it seem more and more believable. And the fact that we can't overcome it makes it also seem more and more believable. And all of that is very hard to grasp when I say that a lot of that past conditioning is actually not true. So in a position like this, I'm going to ask you to stand really tall and strong, and then not to overarch the lower back, but to lift your chest and your heart and lean very slightly back into a back bend. Breathe in with the tailbone down, keep your legs strong. And then as you exhale, bring your head up to neutral. Slide your hands down on the strap until the strap comes all the way down behind you. And you're going to stand at ease. So come into mountain pose and let yourself be upright and easeful. And just picture yourself kind of shedding those layers of misperception. Now we will take the strap one more time to wrap it around the hands, but put it behind you and wrap your hands in the strap so that if you're just using a strap that you're able to hold it. If you've got a yoga strap, go ahead and use the loop. Otherwise, if you don't have a strap, you probably don't have a loop. Okay, make the feet wide once more. Squeeze your shoulders back as you hold on to the strap. Lift your chest and your heart. Let's breathe in, open your throat. And then exhale and come forward and down. Bring your arms overhead, relax the weight of your torso. Now, a lot of the tension that we carry between the neck and shoulders and between the shoulder blades, a lot of that tension is based on the way that past misperception motivates us to always be in the fight or flight symptoms, or to be in the freeze submit symptoms. And so let's imagine releasing neck and shoulder tension right now is also releasing some of those past misperceptions. As you exhale, give yourself the freedom. Breathing in, I'm coming back home to that in you which is already wise and already worthy. And then inhale, rise up to standing. Release the strap from your hands. You can just hold it lightly in one hand. Let your arms dangle down. And try to feel your nervous system actually recalibrating right now. Okay, now we're going to use this yoga strap in a familiar yoga pose to give it a little bit more of a boost. And by boost, I mean things like breathing in, I'm arriving with my courage, commitment, strength, optimism, whatever that is, even if some days you have to conjure that up on your own behalf. There will be days when you don't wake up feeling those things, but you can remember how valuable it is to give yourself the gift of those possibilities. So if you'll stand at the front of your mat, I'm going to call this in front of my mat here. And let's take the strap. Now I do have a loop here. And if you have a loop, you can put your hand in your loop like this. If you don't have a loop, wrap your strap around your hand so you have it, it's kind of fixed or firm. I'm going to make my loop smaller because I don't need that whole big loop. All right, the other hand is on the strap and it's just kind of available to slide when needed. Okay. Inhale, raise both arms up. Bend both knees, step back with your left foot. This is called Virabhadrasana 1. It's a warrior pose. As you step back with your left foot, there you go. I'm going to ask you to pull with your left hand on the strap, give a little snug so that your right arm has to go up alongside your right ear. Root down through your left heel, root down through your tailbone, lift the inner belly. And as you bring your right arm alongside your right ear, lift up and look up. Now, breathing smoothly, start to slide your left hand out on the strap until the left arm comes down on the strap behind you. And as you pull up with the strap in your right hand, because the left hand is pulling down, you have to make the effort to pull up. Let's breathe in one more time, please. And then exhale, lift your gaze to go forward on the wall in front of you. Float your arms forward, and then you can step forward with one action like this and arrive in your strength. And then put the strap in the other hand. In this case, it's my left hand. And this one's going to be sliding, so it has this full freedom to slide on the strap. Okay, let's inhale, raise both arms up overhead. Okay, bend your knees. Step back with your right foot. Place your right heel firmly on the floor. And as you're pulling up, use your right hand to help make the left arm vertical. Now, if the back heel is grounded and you really feel like you've got the tailbone rooted, lift your pubic bone, lift your heart, lift the front of the spine, lift your gaze, look up. Looking up is a gesture of optimism. If the breath is smooth and steady, you can begin to slide your right arm down the strap. And as you do that, you're going to find there's a place where the left arm has to pull up against the tension of your right hand. Okay, one more time, breathing in. And then exhale, level your gaze towards the wall in front of you. Slide the arms forward, and as you're kind of like sleepwalking with the arms, then step forward. One big step if you can. Many small steps if you need to. And come to mountain pose. It's okay to close the eyes. And notice what's present, how your body is responding, what's awakening, what are you shedding. Okay, let's take that a little bit deeper into the body. So when we're standing up like this, it's very powerful and sometimes empowering. Needs the strength of both legs. We're working on our balance. Now we're going to come down to the floor where you might feel your hip flexors more closely. So let's take both blocks and your yoga strap, please. Do not trip on your yoga strap. Put the blocks at the top of your mat. Lay your yoga strap there for support and step into what we call Uttanasana, the standing forward bend. Relax the weight of your head. Let's take a deep breath into the lower abdomen and pelvis. And then with an exhale, bend both knees and step backwards with your left foot. Touch your left knee down to the floor and let the right hip and knee come only so far forward as your knee is not really past your toes. So the right knee doesn't go past the toes of your right foot. Okay, press down into your blocks, lift your chest and your heart. This is called Anjaneyasana. You may feel your left hip flexor stretching already. Let's reach for the yoga strap. Now, keeping your right heel grounded and the pelvis toned, so you're not like sagging, it's not hammocking towards the floor. Let's take the right hand in the loop, raise both arms up. And as you press up with your right hand, slide the left hand down on the strap behind you to give a little challenge to your right arm. So it has to keep reaching up. And as a result, there's a feeling of lifting upwards on our own behalf. You might say that feeling of optimism or commitment. And breathe in. And then exhale, bring your head to neutral. Float the arms down in front with your yoga strap, which you can put on the floor. Press into both blocks. Raise your hips. Straighten both legs. And place your palms how they're comfortable for you on the blocks. I prefer mine to be flat like they are right now. And with an exhale, you may bow over your right leg. And then please bend your right knee and let's step the left foot forward and the right foot back. You touch your right knee down to the floor. Again, you're going to have the hips come forward just so that your left knee is not past the toes of your left foot. Feel into your hip flexors. They might be really different side to side. That's very common. Lift up through your heart. You can press a little bit into the blocks to give some stability and support to the lift of your heart. And we will reach for the yoga strap. Let's put it in the left hand so that the sliding part of the strap is going to be in your right hand. Raise both arms up. And as you slide your right hand down on the strap, use it as resistance for your left hand to reach up. And think of it really as you're exploring your confidence or optimism or courage. And we're going to exhale, gaze forward and float your arms forward and down. You can set your strap back on the floor. Go ahead and reach for the two blocks and press firmly into your blocks. Straighten each leg and place your hands so they're comfortable for you on your blocks. You are welcome to bow over your left leg. And let's inhale, raise up with your chest and your heart. And now step your right foot forward, meet your left foot, and bow deeply towards your legs. A standing forward bend like this is a really nice time to imagine that which you're shedding and that which you're releasing. Perhaps even from the back of your body or from your mind. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves that we can release the emotional work of others to be theirs in the same way that we expect them to feed themselves, particularly if they're adults, of course. We cannot chew and digest their food for them. We also have to give them their emotions to work with. Let's use both blocks to come down to the floor in whatever way is comfortable or playful for you. Come down to take a seat. Let's reach for a blanket. And bring the right knee up to your chest like this. So many times the misperceptions that I'm referring to in class this morning, because I've been working in hunger, hope, and healing for more than 20 years, I can say with some confidence about all this research, all the observations, so many times the past impressions are a felt sense that we're responsible for the emotions of others. But somehow that became our duty. So we have our own emotions and then we have all the emotions of others too. But that wouldn't really be the design of life, right? So keeping that in mind, as you snug your right knee into your chest, wrap your left hand around your right shin. If you'd like, you can take a block with you. I'm going to do that. Place your right hand behind you to twist to your right. And go ahead and look over your right shoulder based on the flexibility of your neck. And let's imagine as you're gazing over the right shoulder, even if the eyes are closed, imagine breathing in, you are arriving in your courage or confidence or willingness or your earnestness. And breathing out, you're coming back home to your sense of grounding or strength or your wisdom and worthiness. And please exhale and come around to face forward. Take your right leg out straight. Bring the left knee in. Sit up as well as you can so you have a feeling that your spine is upright before twisting. Wrap your right hand around your left shin. Rotate to your left. As you gaze over your left shoulder, consider it a place of looking inward. You're welcome to close your eyes. And imagine, so you can kind of pre-imagine it, what it would be like to walk about the world today without the story of unworthiness, without the story of being responsible for the emotions of others. Follow the exhale to come around to face forward. Please cross your ankles. Now, if you picture yourself going about the world today without feeling like you're responsible for the emotions of others, like what is the felt sense of that? First, we have to be able to imagine that as a possibility. So, what is the felt sense of that? And then, what obstacles might you face? Other people's disappointment, other people's resistance. And where can you stay steady inside, even if that does arise? For they too are bringing their ever present past into these experiences and exchanges. And they also learned in their ever present past the messages that are compelling them to their behavior and their assumption of burden onto you. So even though our growth might make other people uncomfortable, it is not an act against them. It is an action towards ourselves and will ultimately improve our relationships. Okay, so imagining that in yourself, let's get a blanket. Oh, I'm sitting on one. Let's get a blanket and 2 blocks to come down to the resting position. You don't need your yoga strap now. You can unfold the blanket. We're going to use it to cover upward. Let's lie on your back, please. And the 2 blocks are going to be for the knees. So we take the soles of the feet together and put the blocks under the outsides of the knees. And then the yoga blanket or any blanket you have. Right? Now, this position, when we put the soles of the feet together like this, it's multi-purpose. One is to help stretch the inner thighs, but it should not feel like you're starting with a big stretch on the inner thighs. It should not be uncomfortable. The second thing is to help release tension in the hips and the pelvis. The third thing is to release lower back tension. For when you have the legs in this position, perhaps you can feel the lower back kind of smoothing out down towards the floor, even though it won't completely touch the floor. And perhaps the most important thing is that this position for the legs brings circulation and energy into the pelvis. And here we have the organs of our endocrine system, menstruation, and also the organs of digestion and elimination. With appreciation for your pelvis and your abdomen, and even, yes, appreciation for the belly itself. Let's rest. And you can imagine all tension fading, evaporating. That tension is not only physical, but also emotional and mental. Allow yourself to rest, leaving the past aside and not picking up the future. Rest right here in the present. Allow yourself to rest really deeply, releasing any and all tension from your body and from your mind. Resist the urge for your mind to wander, and remind it that you're just resting in the present moment. And as we rest for about 1 more minute, I'd like you to again imagine how the day can unfold where you are less responsible for the emotions or the emotional work of others, and able to stay in your own sense of wisdom and worthiness. And you can enjoy a slightly deeper breath in. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. You can bend your knees so your feet go flat to the floor. Put the blocks aside. Roll to your side. And then in your own timing, come up to sitting. I'll take my blanket, will also be what I sit on. So you might refold your blanket, as I'm doing with mine. And come to a seat that you can use for meditation. And when you come into your seat, make sure that you do feel supported. It's not going to be helpful to be distracted by your seat. And rest your hands in your lap or where they're comfortable for you. And sometimes that is like one hand on the heart, one hand on the abdomen. And come inside the place in you that knows this kind of mental relief that you are already worthy and already wise. You already deserve to live in your own sovereignty and grace. And while you may be supportive of others, you don't need to be mingled with their personal work, emotional work. Their inner work is their own. And therefore, also our inner work is also our own. We may receive support from others, but we want to be able to understand our own internal emotional life to the best of our ability. So imagine yourself today being less seducible or hijackable. As you imagine this for yourself, also cultivate the state of mental equanimity. We know that sometimes our growth will cause others to feel uneasy. So, with appreciation for even a flicker of courage or commitment on your own behalf, and please raise your hand to your heart. And of course, we wish everyone else very well. We want them to be healthy and whole and not to be seducible to their own misperceptions of themselves. But today, our work is for ourselves to resolve the past impressions and to know more deeply who we are. May we not forget our wisdom and worthiness. Thank you, everyone. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. And please remember to like and subscribe to the channel and leave any questions below the video for me so I can come back to give you responses. I'm very glad to help you with your yoga practice and your recovery. Thank you once again. Namaste.